For Everett Orlando, the best times are spent fishing. Now that he's retired from the New Jersey police force he served for 30 years. Still, even that favorite pastime, Orlando says, is marred by the memory of the son who used to join him. 18-year-old Stephen was murdered more than a decade ago, the victim of self-proclaimed black militants.
You do a lot of crying. Mostly, your cries are inward. They're not, don't cry out.
One of the men convicted of killing Orlando's son, Jacob John Dougan, is back in court this week as a jury tries to decide whether he should live the rest of his life in prison or die in the electric chair. But the jury in this case will never hear about Everett Orlando's pain. State law and a recent ruling by the United States Supreme Court forbid his statements from being used in these proceedings. The law says the feeling and testimony of victims' family members would violate the defendant's rights if heard during the sentencing phase of a murder trial, since such information could, quote, inflame the jury and divert it from deciding the case on the relevant evidence.
They're being left out of the process, and I think that has got to make them feel like we don't count.
Plakas, who works with Jacksonville crime victims, lashes out at the law and says survivors should be afforded the same considerations as the accused.
Jurors are not computers that you just can't push the button and they're going to erase their sympathy. I'm sure that all citizens are going to have a sense of what's right and wrong.
Zaboni agrees with the law. Emotion-packed testimony, he says, has no place in the sentencing of a convicted murderer since jurors are urged to make their decision without sympathy. Still, Zaboni insists the law probably makes little difference since jurors are often all too aware of the impact a murder has on its survivors. Everett Orlando is hoping that's true because even 13 years later, he says he thinks a lot about his only son's senseless death. He's just not doing much talking. Nancy Rubin, Channel 4, Eyewitness News.